Yeah.
The job of the team principal is to do all the dirty work so that the drivers can focus on their driving, so that the designers can do their designing. Christian Horner, to me, other than that sex scandal he did and maybe some of the problems he has with Verstappen's dad, he probably is the best team principal in F1 right now. Look at it. He's won 8 titles between Verstappen and Vettel. And that comes from standing up for your team. Sometimes you have to fight dirty. But remember we said this is F1, this is not nursery rhyme. F1 is a dirty foot, so you have to fight. And I think that he's doing a good job standing up for his driver so that all Verstappen can do is work. And at the same time, while he's looking at what McLaren is doing, the team is busy building a car that keeps on improving over the week. So I have to give him an A. But let's go back to this thing. All right, welcome to another episode of F1 News. I got it right this time, where we bring you the latest news, but always with a hint of laughter. So somebody better start laughing real soon, huh? Okay, the first thing we're going to talk about is this. Have you ever seen this show called The Race? Have you seen The Race, Mr. Johnny? It's one of the top news, F1 news and F1 technical analysis. They keep calling Christian Horner paranoid. They said he's paranoid because he keeps coming up with these ideas of what McLaren is doing for their tires. I don't think it's paranoid. Paranoid is when you have unfounded fears. Maybe the British use the word paranoid differently, and they keep kind of deriding. They keep deriding Horner. They said 5 outrageous theories about Horner for the warming of the tires of McLaren. My view is that they're not outrageous. And what he's doing as a team principal, which is very important, is trying to help his team win by investigating what is the reason for McLaren's unbelievable tire dig. Same thing when McLaren was doing it years before, people were going after them. And remember when Red Bull had Newey's brake differential, I think it was last year, teams were complaining. But when it's a British team, McLaren, all of a sudden, oh, you guys are being paranoid. It even got to the point where McLaren said, and the FIA said that maybe they should charge Red Bull $100,000 every time they ask them to inspect McLaren's car. But to me, it's very important for a team principal to actually sniff out other teams and see what they're doing. What do you think?
I agree with you because Honor is when they were winning trophies anyhow with Verstappen, people were attacking him too as well. People were always wondering what they were doing to make their cars look so fast and go so fast and so on. So Honor is doing exactly what they did to him. He's doing it back to them, and also Red Bull is what's the name? McLaren. The fact that their car is really so good is very suspicious to everybody. So, maybe he's the only one. Maybe he's the only one shouting it the loudest about. But because he knows that he's the one that probably has the most to lose out of it if he doesn't take care. If he just lets it just go like that. So he's he's doing everything to defend. To defend and then to even make
your job. The job of
the
team principal is to do all the dirty work so that the drivers can focus on their driving, so that the designers can do their designing. Christian Horner, to me, other than that sex scandal he did and maybe some of the problems he has with Verstappen's dad, he probably is the best team principal in F1 right now. Look at it. He's won 8 titles between Verstappen and Vettel. And that comes from standing up for your team. Sometimes you have to fight dirty. But remember we said this is F1, this is not nursery rhyme. F1 is a dirty sport, so you have to fight. And I think that he's doing a good job standing up for his drivers so that all Verstappen can do his work. And at the same time, while he's looking at what McLaren is doing, the team is busy building a car that keeps on improving over the week. So I have to give him an A. But let's go back to this thing about his paranoia. So what he did was ingenious. He wrote a list of things. He kept on writing queries to the FIA saying, if someone did this, would it be legal? If someone did that, would it be illegal? And the idea is that if you keep sending things to them and they keep saying that this is illegal, eventually when they say this possibility is legal, that gives us a hint as to what McLaren is doing, not his did. Anyway, so what happened was he sent 5 things. I'm not going to get into the technical details. If you want the technical details, you can come to our show on Sunday if we do it. But what it was is 4 of them were based on fluids, on water. And absolutely no way is that allowed. Fluid systems are not allowed. But there's an interesting one, which he came up with, which is, I'm going to come up with a name for it. I forgot exactly but it has to do with electrical currents that come from
Hmm.
the sensors. So what they're saying is that it's thermoelectric cooling. So there are electric sensors in the cars, and it's funny
Yeah.
because electricity, like water, is actually a phase changing type of phenomena too, but it's not water. So the sensors on the electric sensors on the car, and this goes back to, remember when you said it. Remember when we would McLaren had sensors on their car doing long runs for testing last year. Remember we talked about
Yeah.
it, and you said they may be using the sensors for something else.
Some kind of like a regulatory to
Yeah,
regulate to.
now it's beginning to make sense because so he sent a letter to the FIA saying this type of electro sensor thing. What it does is around the wheel architecture, it can send electrical impulses to cool areas or heat them up. It can use, and this sounds correct. This doesn't it sound very intuitive to you? Use electricity to
Yeah.
charge or to suck the energy out. Electricity can warm things out or it can suck energy out. And we're not saying that this is what McLaren is doing, but FIA, of everything that this guy sent, Horner sent, of all the careers, FIA said that is allowed, but that they frown upon it, and most likely in 2026 it won't be allowed. They didn't say that McLaren is using it, but they're saying that right now our rules don't bar it, but now that you bring this to attention, we'll probably ban it next year. What do you think about that thermoelectric theory?
I think maybe they probably tried it before and then know that it kind of works, but it
Red
didn't
Bull
work
probably
for
tried it
them.
too. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so but then they know that
yeah.
McLaren have got the trick, and so that's why he knows that he feels that that's what they're doing, because I
Yeah.
mean he probably doesn't know 100%, but he probably knows that they found a way around it. So he's like trying to point out to the FIA, okay, that's what they're doing, that's what they're doing. Check that, Even for him, he probably wants to know whether they're successful in it, whatever
Oh
it
yeah, you
is.
use it. But the question is that it may be too late in the year to get an advantage for it and to spend money on trying to incorporate it. You get my point?
Yeah, but
And this goes back to the fact that people said that maybe McLaren took everything off and that's why they were slow. No, I think maybe you would agree with me. I think the reason McLaren was slower than Red Bull in the last track is because, as we keep saying, Red Bull is getting faster and they do well on high-speed tracks. I think that's just the only reason.
I think that was it. That's they came out with a better car actually in Imola. It wasn't.
And they always do well on high speed because they won in Suzuka, and also they had good race pace in Suzuka. But it seems like on slow and tight tracks, McLaren has the advantage. But I do think the big story now is that Red Bull bringing in their floor, making changes to their suspension, and they're still going to bring more upgrades. In season, they're getting faster and faster, whereas McLaren is not going to get faster because their only advantage might be that electrical cooling thing for the tires, but that can only help you. But so far, Red Bull is actually figuring out aerodynamics and things like that to get better. So it's going to be a close season. I think it's going to come down to the wire. What do you think? Yeah. Because I have a feeling Red Bull is going to win a lot of those late races later in the year when the weather starts getting cold. Yeah.
Yeah, I read somewhere Red Bull they're coming up with the real car that they wanted. I like to call it the real deal, the real deal now. And
yeah,
I
I
think
read that article. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think they're going to, like you said, they're going to get better. I don't know if McLaren don't have any more upgrades, then they're probably going to just get stuck at one point. Stay one.
McLaren has nothing else. But they came up with the wings last year, which were good. Teams have figured that out, or it's banned. So this electrical device may have made them lazy, the way the asymmetrical device made Red Bull lazy. You have one thing that works so well with the differential brakes, Red Bull, that you don't develop your car. So it seems like this little trick that McLaren had, it may work against them because it means they've been so focused on it that they're not focused on evolving their car through the season. And I believe that by next year, Red Bull will be the fastest car. Red Bull, if they keep on with this engineering, they're going to be one of the fastest, along with Aston Martin and Mercedes and Williams. And McLaren may be in trouble. Yeah. Any last thoughts on this thing before we move on to the next topic?
What kind of circuit is Spanish in Spain? Is it a fast or?
I think Spain is a high speed track.
High speed.
And here's the thing. And here's the thing: if Verstappen wins in Spain, even though he's supposed to win, it's going to be, even though it's a race he might be supposed to win. It's a race that he's supposed to win. It will still be a psychological blow to McLaren. You get my point? And they're in big trouble because even though Monaco is a slow speed track, it's also technical, and the tire advantage won't matter if you get it in front. If they lose in Monaco and in Spain, they're going to be in big trouble. I mean, big trouble not
Yes.
as far as it's going to be psychological. It's kind of like saying, oh, the first 3 races of the year you'll lose, but you'll win the last 7. It doesn't matter. Losing 3 in a row is devastating. You won't even be thinking about, oh, don't worry, I can win the last 7. It can lead to doubt, especially with guys like Norris, who already suffers from doubt. You get what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at, because I know that if by Spain, if Red Bull's car really performs very well, and then who knows, maybe McLaren might even this their cooling, whatever, electric, whatever helps them out. But for sure, if Verstappen wins in Spain as well, that'll be a very big blow for McLaren, and
Yeah, see the Spain track. You can tell this is a fast track. Look at that long straight.
Fast track, yes.
That's a fucking fast track. I'm telling you, Verstappen's gonna win that shit. He's gonna win it, man. Wow. He's gonna win that shit. I mean, let me not get too far ahead of myself, but that track does not look favorable to McLaren's advantage. That tire advantage will not matter for them. Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's go